Alright, it is that time of year again. We are hopping on Tier Maker and we are ranking every single AFL Indigenous Guernsey for 2023. All the clubs, some have released home and clash jumpers. Everyone has released a home Indigenous jumper for Sir Doug Nicholls round here in 2023. As I do every year, I'm going to go through and rank all of these. The tiers here are unbelievable, very decent, it'll do, little meh, and woeful. Now, no matter how I judge these Guernseys, these are not based off the stories or the meaning behind the Guernseys. This is purely off Indigenous jumpers and Indigenous designs on a jumper. I don't care if it's a really, really nice artwork and it has a really, really nice story behind it. And I'm sure all of them do, and I've read quite a bit about some of the Indigenous jumpers, and I really, really like the stories behind them and where the artists have gone with it. This is purely just based off my opinion of the design of them. Alright, let's kick it off with, the first in the order here is the Western Bulldogs. The Bulldogs I don't mind at all. I'm happy they haven't just gone all rogue. Now, some clubs do it really, really well where they go all rogue and it's got nothing to do with the jumper, but the Bulldogs, they've stayed simple here. They've kept the red and white hoops, but in a more of an Aboriginal design. It's got an Indigenous snake coming through the red and white hoops, and it's got quite a clean design up the top. Now, I've made my thoughts known about the Western Bulldogs home jumper this year, and I think they look horrendous with the big white collar, and they haven't got a rig of that for this Indigenous jumper, which really, really annoys me, because I think that's the only thing bad about it. Due to that big white collar that sort of ruins it for me, I think it's a pretty clean design. I'm going to put it in it'll do, because I just think that collar, it takes away so much from what could have been such a good jumper. Kicking in now with the GWS Giants. GWS do their Indigenous jumpers so well every year, and they've done it so well once again. I love when Greater Western Sydney go for the white-based Indigenous jumpers, and they've done it in 2021, 2022, and now 2023. The white base with an orange and charcoal design running through the middle in a little road, a little river. I'm not really sure what the meaning is behind that. It must have something to do with Western Sydney or Ngura Land, which it's called. Look, I think it's a really, really clean design. I think the white base always adds so much for Greater Western Sydney, and the back I also think looks absolutely fantastic. I think I'm going to have to put this Giants one in top of it'll do, because I still think there are some much better ones. I don't think it's one of the Giants' very best, but it's definitely better than the Bulldogs, and I think it'll do. Carlton, I am going to put in, I think I'm going to put it in top of it'll do. There might be too many it'll do's, and I might need to switch them around at the end, but I really like this, but I don't think I can justify putting it up to very deep. I really like whenever Carlton move away from the navy blue and go to a more lighter blue design. They've still got that Carlton emblem looking very bold in the middle there, but the artwork, while it could be seen as as a little bit messy, I think it actually works really well, all the different elements. I think they've composed it really well throughout the jumper, going up and down and across. I think Carlton have done really well there. I like the designs up the top. It blends into a more subtle design in the middle, and down the bottom a bigger Indigenous circle. I think it looks really nice, to be honest, the Carlton one, but it's not very decent yet for me. Richmond's, however, I'm going to put in potentially unbelievable, but it's going to go in very decent for now. That Richmond jumper for me truly is glorious. In fact, I take it back. I'm just having a second look at it. It's going in unbelievable. Richmond get our first unbelievable for this year. Usually not a massive fan of their Dreamtime ones every year. I find them a bit boring, but they've done something fantastic this year. I think the yellow base helps that a lot. I think the yellow base adds a lot to the jumper. What they've done with the sash is so smart. They've got design in the background on the yellow, but the sash, you've got some Indigenous art in the background. The brown looks really good. Might have something to do with the bark of the trees. That's just sort of my guess from what I've read about it. Then you've got some artwork of an Indigenous elder, from what I can see, firing a spear up towards the top of the jumper. I think it looks absolutely fantastic, and Richmond and whoever designed this jumper have smashed it out the park. Potentially Richmond's greatest ever Indigenous jumper. North Melbourne, they're going to have to go in very decent, and they do it every year, and they've done it again. Like GWS, whenever North Melbourne go with the white base, it always looks really good. They went with the blue base last year, and I absolutely loved that, but I've reverted back to the white. I think the squiggly lines and even the field right in the middle, it all just blends in so well. North Melbourne compose their jumpers really well every year. They make sure not to make it too messy, but they always make sure to get the message out there and get the story out there in a really nice way. I think the artwork looks really clean on the jumper. it's going to go in very decent because it has a very, very decent jumper. Now, I think with the Adelaide design this year, I think it looks really, really good, but my one criticism with Adelaide designs is they look so similar every year. There's always sort of the same composition of the jumpers each and every year, whether it's the circle in the middle and the design up the top. I sort of think they need to start switching up their colours, whether they go a red or a yellow base jumper. I think it's always just that navy blue base and that same sort of design year after year. And for that reason, I'm gonna put Adelaide in a little meh. I don't think any will go in woeful, by the way, but I think it's a little meh. I think it's just like Adelaide could do something. They could change the colour of the base. They could completely change up the design style like a lot of teams do each year. And Port Adelaide had a horrific jumper, whether it was last year or the year before. But at least they tried and changed it up. Adelaide just don't try, and yeah, I'm going to put it in a little meh. Now, Brisbane, they have 2 Indigenous jumpers for 2023. They've got home and they've got a clash. We'll start off with the home here. I think it looks absolutely glorious, this home one. I think the subtle design, I think they've just kept the normal base, but they've put subtle designs in the background, and around the line, they've composed some really, really nice Indigenous artwork. And they've inversed it, which looks even better for the clash. So for very decent, I'm going to put Brisbane behind North, not as good. I'm going to put the clash above the home. I think it looks really, really good. In a real subtle manner and a real, smart manner. Let's do Geelong's home and away. They've got a blue one and they have a white one, which they'll wear against Wallyup Fremantle this week. I think it looks really, really cool, this blue one. We'll start off first. I love whenever Geelong go for the blue base, considering they wear a white base week in, week out. Whenever they used to wear that blue clash jumper against the Swans or someone. It always, it always looked good, I thought, the inverse. But yeah, this new Indigenous jumper where they've gone the blue base looks really, really cool, I reckon. I reckon the circle up the top, I think just, to be honest, I think getting rid of the hoops is just, I love it. I love it. And that's what Adelaide need to do more of. They have gotten rid of their traditional design, but they've kept it the same for about 5 years now. Geelong, they change it up year after year, whether it's keeping the hoops in a smart design or changing it up. I think Geelong really do quite well each year. That being said, it's going to go in Eagle Do. The blue one's going to go above the white. I think they are okay clash Indigenous jumpers. I think they do the job, and I think it's very, very smart in the way they've done it. And Eagle Do isn't bad whatsoever. I just think they could have done a little bit more. I think last year Geelong's Indigenous jumper was absolutely phenomenal, and I think it's just a little bit of a step down for me. Now let's move on to Collingwood, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not a massive fan of it. They've got some artwork in the black and the white. I'm pretty sure the middle white stripe is thicker than usual, which will actually provide quite a nice colour clash when they wear this against Carlton. I think it looks okay. Look, it's pretty simple. That all the circles do mean different things. I think as a jumper, it's pretty simple. It's pretty clean. I think it's going a little meh for me. Let's go behind Adelaide. I think there's not a lot going into this. There's a lot of meaning behind it. There's a lot of story behind it as a design. It's just a bit boring for mine. And I actually am going to get rid of the woeful tier because I don't think any jumpers deserve to go in woeful. Now let's go on to the Gold Coast. They've got a red one and they have a blue one. Like when Geelong go blue, I love when Gold Coast go blue. The Gold Coast one this year looks really, really cool. They've actually got an Indigenous sun in the background of the logo. And there's a lot of design in the background, yet they've made it so subtle for some reason. I love what they've done, and I can't pinpoint what they've done. It's just so subtle in such a packed way. There's so much happening in the background, but in such a calming way. The sun in the background looks good. The background designs look good. Gold Coast, to be honest, it's going to go in unbelievable for mine. Behind Richmond, I love what they've done. I love that they've incorporated Indigenous sun. I love the subtle designs they've got in the background. The blue one, I'm going to need to take a look at this, and it's pretty much just the inverse. I don't think it's as good as the orange, but I think it is still very, very good. I think the orange provides so much to that Gold Coast jumper. I think it's going to go in very decent in between North Melbourne and Brisbane Flash. Now for Port Adelaide, and oh my word, this is an absolute banger. It is going in unbelievable behind Gold Coast, but it sure is a banger. The way they've incorporated into the V's is so smart with the bird. I'm not sure what the bird means for Port Adelaide, to be honest. They used it a few years ago on an Indigenous jumper, I'm still yet to know the meaning of it. I'm sure it's got something to do with the local Port Adelaide region. They've actually changed their name for this round as well. I'm sure it's got something to do with the local region, that bird. I've seen a few Port Indigenous jumpers in the past, and it looks really, really good the way they incorporate it whenever they do it. And I think it's no different this year. I think it looks absolutely superb. The feathers coming out from either side, and it's not messy. It is very, very clean. It's going unbelievable. The Hawks really, really do smash it. It's going to have to go in unbelievable again. There are a few unbelievable ones in this, and you might notice a little theme. I like the bright colours. My top 3 so far are 2 bright yellow ones and an orange and a bright yellow one. I like the bright colours of an Indigenous jumper, and the design on this Hawks one is no different. The Hawk in the middle is absolutely superb with the artwork in the middle. The footy field down the bottom looks absolutely superb with the Hawk coming out of it, and then a few subtle designs up the top. I think everything about this jumper is absolute perfection, and one of the greatest Indigenous jumpers we've ever seen, to be honest. I think Hawthorn have done really, really well here. I'm actually going to put it to the top. I think, actually no, I'm going to put it behind Richmond. I still think Richmond's is fantastic. I'm going to put it above Gold Coast though, and I am going to drop Port Adelaide down to very decent, because I don't think it's on the level of those 3, to be honest. Now let's move on to Fremantle's 2 jumpers. Fremantle's home, first of all. For me, I think Fremantle over the years have gone a bit, gone the same. Sort of a little bit the same year after year. I think there was one a couple of years ago, or last year, that I absolutely, and in fact, it was last year's one was probably my favourite one we've ever had. This one I'm not so much of a fan of. I personally won't be buying it. I usually buy the Indigenous jumpers. Personally won't be buying it this year. I'm not like a huge fan of it, to be honest. I think it's just a little bit messy. I think some teams struggle to find the balance between artwork and footy jumper, and I think Fremantle have missed the mark here, to be honest. I believe Alex Pearce designed this, and I do see a little Tasmanian island in the bottom there, obviously where Alex Pearce is from. So yeah, that's a nice little touch. There's a Freo logo there. I think all the artwork's pretty cool. For me, it's just a little bit messy, with the chevrons as well having a design on it. I don't think that was negative. I thought that could almost just maybe revert back to boomerang chevrons or the feathers or whatever they did last year. I thought that looked absolutely fantastic. I think the chevrons look a bit messy for mine. I'm going to put my own team, Fremantle, in, it's going to go in between Adelaide and Collingwood. I think it's better than Collingwood, not as good as Adelaide's. Yeah, little mess for mine. Now let's take a look at Fremantle's clash. Personally, it's still a little bit messy. It's the exact same design, but with anything inverse, it always just seems to look better for some reason. This clash looks better than the home. It is still too messy for mine, but the white always, for some reason, looks better than the purple. I'm not sure why, when it comes to these sorts of jumpers. It's still going a little there because I still think it's a little bit messy. In fact, I'm probably going to put it up into it will do. I actually think it's quite a bit better than the home. It will go to the bottom, but yeah, I like this clash a lot. The inverse works really, really well. Now let's move on to Melbourne. They've released a home and they've released a clash, and the clash has received some critical reception. First of all, the home. Unbelievable for mine. I think it is unbelievable. It is an absolutely sublime home jumper. It is subtle, but it creates a really, really nice Indigenous jumper. There's sort of like a fading out from the Melbourne Red V, which has some Indigenous artwork in it up the top, and it sort of does a little middle heart with a footy field in the middle and some Indigenous artwork. The composition of it and the way they've made it is just so smart, and it looks not like an artwork, but like an Indigenous footy jumper, and like the way it should be. Melbourne's clash for mine, I am going to put it probably behind. Yeah, I like the clash, but it's definitely like, it's better than that Gold Coast one probably. Actually, let's put it behind. I'm probably going to put the Melbourne one there. I love the home one. The clash isn't as good, but it's still a very, very good jumper. I think the navy blue works a whole lot better. And I've gone that sort of lighter blue instead of the royal blue, which I like. They've experimented. I actually think it looks better there if it was with the royal blue. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but yeah, St Kilda going seconds. I still love Richmond's one, and it's probably tied on my favourite Indigenous jumper for this year between Richmond and St Kilda. But this Saints one can't, like, it is so good. Oh, I love the Richmond one a lot. That's the thing. I really love the Richmond one, so I think I'm going to keep St Kilda in second. But God, it's good. It is so good. Yeah, it's such an easy and obvious move to make. They've got the red, white, and black, and they've just made the white the yellow. It's so easy to do. To make it the Indigenous flag and to add some artwork down the side. Got the Torres Strait Island Indigenous flag above the AFL logo. It's perfect. It's so subtle. I can't really say much more about the jumper because there's not a lot more that's gone on than a colour changing of the artwork, but it's so good. Yeah, for me, Essendon's probably gonna go very decent. I'll put it behind North. It's very good. It is very good. I'm going to put it behind North, but I think it's very decent. I think the Dreamtime Essendon one this year is really solid. I think the sash they've incorporated with the bird that sort of looks like a bomber with the really subtle artwork in the background. I think the grey jumper really shows off the black artwork really well. They've done really well by going the grey jumper to show off the black artwork and the sash that's incorporated to the bird/bomber. Yeah, Essendon done it really smartly this year. For some reason, there's just something about it, whether it's too many logos on the jumper or something, but that just doesn't do it for me. But yeah, the design itself, it's really good. This isn't necessarily a bad jumper from Sydney, but I'm going to put it bottom because they haven't made a new one, and I think, you know, I think you should. It's a time where you should be making a new one each year to celebrate and get a new artist in. And Sydney have been pavers in the Indigenous aspect of the game. I think they should have made a new one, to be honest. I'm going to put bottom because it's the same as last year. It's pretty cool. Got the Opera House, got the artwork, got the blue. Alright, it's a pretty nice jumper. But I'm going to put bottom because there's no new jumper this year. If I were to actually rank it, I think you could probably go like in between the Bulldogs and the Cats one. And in fact, I will do that. The thinking of going, I get off scot-free. I'm actually going to rank it. But yeah, make one next year, Sydney. And last but least, it actually is least, it's West Coast, their Indigenous jumper. And West Coast, man, I just hate to say it, but they smash their Indigenous Guernseys every year. I really like this one. I think they do so well every year, West Coast. And I think the royal blue and yellow are really nice colours to work with. I think West Coast have done superbly this year. It's probably going to go in between Port and North in very decent. I think I thought last year's was really good, and I think this year's is probably even better, incorporating the eagle like Hawthorn I've done with the really nice artwork, the footy field either side of the eagle vertically. West Coast continues to smash it with Indigenous jumpers, and yeah, that's a really nice one. There you go, and very decent. Alright everyone, thank you all for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts on all the Indigenous jumpers down in the description. What's your favourite? What's your least favourite? What do you think about my rankings? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll try to get back to you on as many as I can. If you are new, make sure you hit that subscribe button. There's heaps of content. I've been a little bit slack over the past few weeks, but I've been extremely busy, and I'm going to try to really crack down and grind over until the end of the season. So please hit that subscribe button and like the video so you don't miss anything.